What are your red flags for a dojo? ¿Cuáles son las banderas rojas que tienes que tener en cuenta si yo no tengo ni idea y me van a dar cualquier cosa para decir, vale, a lo mejor pruebo otro dojo a ver qué tal?
I think it depends on kind of what your goal is, right? And what kind of approach you want to look for. And I think that's important. I think the biggest one that I think everyone would agree on is hygiene. Like the mats are clean, because there's places that don't clean mats, so you get like skin infections, things like this. I think having some kind of organization, you know, the classes start on time. These kinds of things I think are very important for you know, the beginner program is important, but I think organized, you know, they explain to you a little bit what's happening. The class starts on time. The mat's clean. I think that's the very basic of it. I think many schools do really well without a beginner program, without a curriculum.
With the approach of the coach, do you think like the approach of the coach matters somehow to like just like, hey, maybe try it the other way? It's like,
I think that part is
personal.
Yeah, somewhat, okay. Right? I don't want to train somewhere where someone just yells at me.
Okay, or just like
but somebody
has
might
like
it.
a different approach or an approach that doesn't connect with my vibe.
Yeah, you know,
exactly.
So
okay,
I think that's...
If you feel it, better go to another place and try it, because...
I always tell people, like, even if I know someone who has a school, they go, oh, I'm moving to this area, you know, do you know anyone there? I say, oh yeah, I have someone that I know before, but I recommend you try a class at a few different places. You know, sometimes it kind of clicks and it's like, oh man, that guy was really nice at this place, and he kind of, because my friend might be nice, but they might be a bad teacher. I don't know, you know, I've never taken the class kind of thing. So I recommend people, why not? You know, and I tell, look, same thing for me. Try my school, try the schools around. You're going to see, I think you're going to see a big difference in how we approach things. And most people, I think, are going to choose our school.
Yeah, the basic, like, or the most important thing is like, we will talk why to get into a box, into a dojo. But it's like not thinking that jiu-jitsu is maybe having a bad experience on one class because maybe there is another dojo that gives you the experience you were looking for, and not just saying like, okay, one class or 1 week here and I don't try jiu-jitsu anymore. It's like, try to follow a little bit, but I wanted to like, okay, from your point of view, what should I have in count at the beginning to see like, hey, this is a good place to make a try, you know?
Exactly, you know, so I think an approachable teacher, a nice teacher that explains things is like, I think that's important.
So when you get into, you've been teaching jiu-jitsu for so long, and with jiu-jitsu you can also say like you're taking like values, health, different approach. Has estado trabajando, enseñando jiu-jitsu durante tantos años, y me gustaría saber cuál es el valor que consideras, o los valores que consideras, the values that jiu-jitsu brings to people, like gives to people during the practice and that you take into your life, you know, que la incorporas en tu vida.
I think there's a lot. I think the biggest thing is this. There's a realness to jiu-jitsu. There, like, with most things, even with boxing and stuff, it's like, I wasn't punching as hard as I could. I think I could have got him. Jiu-jitsu is like, oh no, go as hard as you want. You can go as hard as you want, and I'm gonna prove to you that I'm better. Or like my brother, my older brother, beat me up my whole life. It's like, he's better at jiu-jitsu than me. It's like, I can say like, oh, but I've tapped. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I know for a fact he's better technically than me. That's it. You know, so I think it humbles you.
Okay.
You know, it's like, it's a very old trick. It's like you get somebody like you, like athletic, comes in. It's like, put the young girl to tap him out a bunch of times, and he comes out like, you know, you just like, you demoralized. It kind of breaks down this ego, I think. And I think that's important to have in life, because you can live in kind of a fantasy world for most things in life. You know, you can kind of live in this idea that like, oh, I'm better than them. And you can just say it. This is like, no, I can prove to you when you tap, you admit that I'm better, and that's it. Okay. You know, so I think that's this approach that, this realness and this kind of breakdown of ego, I think is...
And builds up like humbleness also.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a very clear hierarchy in the school, and not from like, oh, you're worse than me, but like, I know you are. That's it. There's no need to try to prove anything.
Linking what another explanation that you gave us the other day, that I was like really focused, because I want those people that are gonna step into the dojo to have some things clear, and it's like humbleness is one of them for sure. Me gustaría que esas personas que van a pisar por primera vez un tatami o un dojo, pues escuchasen lo que escuché yo el otro día. Listen to what I listened the other day about frustration and what's the game inside really going on. How do you develop and how you improve, and against who you are fighting. You talked something that it was really nice.
Yeah. So I think I wrote a blog post, and I was explaining, just, if you compete against someone else, I let people tap me all the time. The white belt, it's okay, they tap me. That doesn't mean that they're better than me, and we want to compete against that other person. We want to win against that other person, but they might be younger than us. They might be, they might develop at a different pace than us, and certain positions they might be better than us, and we never got to the other position. There's too many. The example I gave is someone that taps you every day. They tap you out. They always are better than you. Then yesterday they got in a fight with their wife. They didn't sleep. They got sick for the last 2 weeks. They came in and you catch them. You go, oh, I'm better than them today. No, they just weren't at their best. That doesn't mean that suddenly you're better. So you have to. I always want to compare myself from a year ago. How would I do against myself from a year ago? I think for jiu-jitsu, most people are like pretty clearly like, wow, like I'm so much better. And that's a very clear indication of like, oh, there's improvement there. Because otherwise, I think that's one of the reasons people quit a lot, because they see someone else younger, more athletic, that's got maybe more talent than them, and they get better faster, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. It's like, no, you're not chasing the guy that's 20 years younger than you. You're chasing you from a year ago. That's all, So I think I try to have that approach for everything in life. When I started weightlifting, I'm like, oh, I want to be strong in 10 years. Because if I say I want to be strong, like the first few times I started weightlifting, I was like, I wanted to look big and strong, looking myself all the time for change. It's like, no. I take a very slow approach, because in 10 years, I'm going to be really strong. Cool. That's it. It's a long-term plan.
For like what you said, it's like amazing. And it was like, also you mentioned something that I talked a lot with my sister, and it's like, just put 1,000 hours in.
Yeah.
It's like in anything. You want to be a good painter, put 1,000 in.
Exactly.
You want to do good tattoos, put 1,000 hours in it. But if you don't put it, don't get frustrated.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to put it by some reason. Entonces, si no quieres meter 1,000 horas en algo, es porque hay alguna razón que te impide meterlo. A lo mejor no te interesa tanto, pues utilízalo como un hobby, pero no te frustres, porque al final es como un proceso que tienes que disfrutar, y cuando metes 1,000 horas y otras 1,000 horas, pues ya los resultados llegan. Y que al final compites contigo mismo, y eso, por ejemplo, en el CrossFit, en nuestro caso, en mi caso, es un approach también que es muy difícil de olvidar. It's very easy to forget that you're competing against yourself, because you're having a guy moving a barbell behind you.
Exactly.
And
it's like, put more weight, and I can't put more weight yet.
There you go.
But maybe you squat more than them tomorrow, and they do bench more.
And being here, for me, it's a win already.
Yeah.
So when you start like, I'm losing because he's better than me, it's no, man, you're in the mat and you're winning because you're improving towards yourself. So that's
about
like
you. Exactly. It's about you.
A nice approach.
Yeah.
Why should that step be done into a mat? ¿Por qué deberías terminar de pisar el tatami? Esa persona que se lo está planteando, una chica, un chico, ¿por qué consideras que el Jiu-Jitsu incorporarlo a tu vida? Ya hablaste un poco de los valores, pero me imagino que también self-defense, confidence.
Exactly. So I think self-defense for me is always very important. I think for kids, for teenagers, you're going to get into some fights and stuff at school. For women, super important. For men to be able to be more confident and to be like, oh, I can be myself, and I can stand up for myself if I need to. So self-defense, I think, is also the biggest reason most people begin, is they kind of have this approach to it. I think for me, the mental aspect of strategy, and I'm drenched in sweat, but my mind has been just go. If I'm running, I get bored very okay. It's like I have a hard time at the gym and things like this because I'm like, it's I want to have this, like, in my mind there's
Cocoon
all
completely,
this
like,
strategy, and he put his weight here in his hand,
yeah,
and
you're
I'm
just
thinking about,
focusing the.
there's this kind of active meditation. My students tell me all the time, man, I had the worst day of my life today, and I didn't think about anything for an hour and a half. I just thought about the guy that was trying to choke the life out of me, and this is it, and they come out and it's like, I didn't think about my bills, I didn't think about the fight in my family and this and that. I was present, so I think it's a very unique thing in that. I think the sparring that you can go 100% against someone is a very unique thing. There's not many things that you can go head to head and just go
It's like
100.